Everyone. Today we are going to continue our unit on argumentative writing. The date for today is 9/29/20. Our I can statement for the day is I can identify and evaluate key points on both sides of an argument, and I can write an argumentative essay. These are the same I can statements that we started yesterday, and we're going to continue on with these today, tomorrow, and Thursday. So on the agenda, we're going to start by reviewing this story that we read yesterday called You Won't Find Her on Spotify. Then we are going to gather some evidence from this article to support our claims. And then tomorrow you are going to pick a side of the argument and then complete an argumentative essay kit that you can find on Google Classroom. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for 3 pieces of evidence that support our 3 claims that yes, streaming is awful, and then 3 pieces of evidence that support our 3 claims that no, streaming is fantastic. So the broad question here is, do streaming services do more harm than good? And you're arguing yes, streaming is awful, or no, streaming is fantastic, okay? So what I'm going to do is on this document here, I will be annotating for evidence in support of yes, streaming is awful. So I will give you the claim and I will show you how to find the evidence for that claim. And all you need to do is pay attention during this video and then copy my claims and my evidence onto your T-chart that you can find on Google Classroom. Then, after we fill out the yes, streaming is awful section, it is your task to go back into this article and find 3 pieces of evidence that support the 3 claims that no, streaming is fantastic and streaming does not do more harm than good. All right, so let's start annotating. My first claim that I am going to look for evidence to support is artists do not make much money through streaming services like Spotify, okay? So that is one reason why streaming is awful, because artists don't make much money through these streaming services. And then if I look in my text right here, I have some really helpful information about my claim. So here's how it works. Each time you stream a song, the artist gets a tiny amount of money, maybe only a fraction of a penny. For big name artists getting millions of plays, those tiny payments might add up. But others are lucky enough to buy a ham sandwich, right? So yes, streaming is awful because artists do not make much money through streaming services like Spotify. That's my claim. The evidence that I can use to support that claim is artists only make a fraction of a penny for each stream. For big name artists, this is good, but for smaller artists, this is not good, right? Now let's look for a second piece of evidence for my second claim. So my second claim is going to be that streaming services may lead to less variety in music that is produced. In the interest of getting a lot of playing on streaming sites, artists might be wary of experimenting, okay? So because streaming services rely on plays, so you want to get a lot of streams, you want to get a lot of plays on your song, artists might not want to experiment or might not want to try anything different because they'll be worried that they won't get enough plays or streams on their song. And then if I look in my text here under the section that says all the same, I see a couple different pieces of evidence in support of that claim, okay? So I could say that, eventually music could start to sound the same. The diversity of music could decline. Discourages artists from experimenting with new sounds, financially safer to stick with what people already know and already like, okay? So again, my claim is that streaming services may lead to less variety in the music that is produced. In the interest of getting a lot of playing on streaming sites, artists might be wary of experimenting. Eventually, music could start to sound the same, right? And then I could use any of this evidence here, right? The diversity of music could decline. So I could say, according to Melanie Abrahams, the quality and diversity of music could decline. And then the final claim that I have for yes, streaming is awful is that streaming decreases the value of music. And it causes people to see music as disposable, right? So if you stream you can access millions of different songs and millions of different albums, and it kind of decreases the value of that music, and it kind of causes people to see it as disposable. It's not really a rare thing. Everyone has access to it. Okay? And then my evidence in support of that is that we've become accustomed to getting great music for next to nothing. And as Taylor Swift would say, important and rare things are valuable, and music is art, music is rare, music is important. So why shouldn't you pay for these things? Okay? So what I've done so far is I have given you 3 different claims. The first claim is that artists do not make much money through streaming services like Spotify. Okay? So, in other words, artists don't get paid enough. Okay? And I showed you where to find evidence that supports that claim in the reading. My second claim that I brought up was that streaming services may lead to less variety in the music that is produced. In the interest of getting a lot of playing on streaming sites, artists might be nervous to experiment or try anything new, right? So, in other words, the quality and diversity of music could decline. And then I showed you where to find evidence in the text in support of that claim. And then finally, the last claim that I brought to your attention is that streaming decreases the value of music. It causes people to see music as disposable, okay? And so I showed you where to find evidence in the text in support of that claim. And I am going to just sum that up as streaming decreases the value of music. Okay, so again, I have provided you with 3 different claims, and then I showed you where to find evidence in the text in support of those claims. So what you need to do now is copy down these claims and then copy down evidence from the text in support of these claims on your T-chart that you can find in Google Classroom. After you've done that, it is your responsibility to fill out the section of the T-chart that is in support of no, streaming is fantastic, streaming is great, it does not do more harm than good, and it is your task to find 3 claims in support of streaming and then 3 pieces of evidence from the text to back up your claim. Okay, so at this point, you have identified and evaluated some key points on the yes, streaming is awful side of the argument, right? Now it's your turn to go and evaluate some key points on the side that no, streaming is fantastic. Throughout the week, we will be continuing to write an argumentative essay. So we reviewed the story, we gathered a little bit of evidence. Now it is your turn to go to your T-chart that you can find on Google Classroom and complete the yes, streaming is awful side, which I've already given you the information for. You just need to fill it in. And then the no, streaming is fantastic side, and you have to find those claims and that evidence on your own. Let me know if you have any questions, but head over to Google Classroom now and start filling out that chart. Thanks, everybody.